Hello, Admiral Seabass here. Welcome to my war room in Indianapolis, Indiana. Continuing in our series on optional rules and expansions I'm going to use in my Global War 36 game. I'm going to skip over Netherlands Fights Back because that's going to be a pretty standard use of the expansion that's sold by Historical Board Gaming, with maybe a couple of tweaks that Rank Carcass has made to the game, but I don't feel like doing a video on that because Rank Carcass and I think General Hagerty have both covered that one pretty extensively. So check their stuff out if you want to learn about that. Today we're going to talk about that one, atomic bombs. And again, there is an expansion set available from HBG. I think it's called Going Nuclear, and I think you get a couple of 3D printed B-29s and a couple of nuclear bomb markers, and that looks like a great set. But I wanted to see what I could do with just buying some nuclear or atomic bomb markers and making my own rules. So this is what I came up with. And I'm going to say at the outset right now, I think it should be pretty rare when you would be able to develop these and use them in the game. And I wanted to try to steer their usage towards situations that were somewhat like the situation for which they were used in the historical World War II, which is when one country, the U.S., had another country, Japan, way back on its heels, mostly within the borders of its own home country, and looking at a costly invasion and trying to weigh that versus the use of an atomic bomb. So this is what I came up with. So I'm going to go over the highlights and I'm going to show you how this is going to work in a little more detail. First of all, you cannot research atomic bombs until you have 50 or higher IPPs, including wartime bonuses. And once you're at that level, you can start researching atomic bombs. And it'll cost 2 like a normal research roll, but you'll have to roll 9 plus. So it's going to be kind of like heavy bombers or strategic rockets in terms of how difficult it'll be to get. And I'm going to track it up here. And so that's the first thing that you have to realize is that you can't research it until you have quite a bit of income and you're doing pretty well economically. Once you research atomic bombs, then you have to build one, and it's going to take you 2 turns at a cost of 5 IPPs per turn, and that has to be done at a major factory. So what you would do is you would come down here and you pay your 5 IPPs, and you'd grab your atomic bomb under production marker, and you would put it here at stage 2, and then you would grab another one like this, and let's say it's the US building it at their major factory in the Great Plains. You put that right there, and then it would be under production. And the next turn, when you and you probably want to put a U.S. marker on here, although I doubt that more than one country at a time would be doing this. Next turn, when you pay another 5, this would move over here, and then during your place units phase, you would just pick that up, come over here, and you would take that off, and then you would have an atomic bomb that is ready to be delivered to a site. So then on the next turn, you would have to move this. And the way that would work is a combination of strategic rail and or naval movement. And it has to be moved in non-combat to a new location via any combination of strategic rail movement and or pickup from a shipyard or naval base and drop off at any location by a particular type of unit. And this is where it's going to get really historical, by a cruiser, a battle cruiser, a battleship, or a heavy battleship. If you remember in the Second World War, near the end of the war, the USS Indianapolis delivered the bomb parts and then was sunk on its way back to base. So any combination of strategic rail or this special kind of naval movement, and then after it's moved to its location, it cannot be moved again. So let me show you what this would look like in practice. So you got the bomb here. So on the next turn, you would move it by rail to this shipyard, and then you would load it, let's say, onto this cruiser here, and that cruiser would then be able to move it to its final location, which in this case we would go 1, 2, 3, for and deliver it to Iwo Jima, which the U.S. controls, and fortuitously for which we have a strategic bomber here ready to deliver the bomb on the next turn. So that's how that would work. And so, and the reason it's here is important because what I haven't told you yet is that any strategic bomber or heavy strategic can deliver this bomb, but a maximum range of 3 movement points away, and air bases do not give you a bonus. So that's why it can, if you're going to hit Tokyo, then you would have to be at Iwo Jima or the Bonin Islands, or maybe even up here. So you're going to have to be close to deliver this thing. So that's how delivery of it's going to work. Then, how do you actually, on combat movement next turn, how do you do this? Well, you're going to do this by strategic bombing, but you're not going to be strategic bombing a facility. You're going to be strategic bombing an objective city. And let me, I wrote some rules up here that I want to read to you. And we'll kind of look at the map here while we're doing that. It can be, I already told you it can be carried a max of 3 during a combat move by a strategic bomber. It can only be used as an attack against an objective city in which no atomic bomb has previously been detonated, currently being possessed by its original owner. So in this case, it would be Japan, and it would be Tokyo. That's an objective city because it's a star on the map. It would be subject to normal interception rules. And the city itself would have inherent AAA ability, which means it would get to roll AAA against the attack. If the bomber carrying the atomic bomb is successfully intercepted or shot down, the bomb is not successfully detonated. And if the bomber does survive, the atomic bomb is detonated. So that's a little bit different. Normally, if the bomber's shot down, it still gets to do the damage to the facility that it's bombing. That's not going to be the case here. So what happens if the bomb is successfully detonated? Well, if it's detonated, you get to score 1 victory point at the end of the game. Actually, you're never going to have that victory point taken away. That's a victory point that you're going to get for detonating an atomic bomb in an objective city. And if the target of the attack is only in possession of its original home country, it will surrender. So if Japan was down to its home country, which is Sapporo, Tokyo, and Fukuoka, then Japan would surrender once that bomb is detonated inside Tokyo. But Japan would also surrender, or any other country would surrender, if it currently has IPP of 20 or less, including wartime bonuses. So you get a victory point for sure if you deliver this to Tokyo or any other objective city. And if the country that you deliver it, if the country that you deliver it to is down to its original home territory, it would surrender at that point. Or if it's down to 20 or less IPPs in total, it would also surrender at that point. So that is an overview of my atomic bomb rules. Again, I think this is going to be pretty rare that this gets used. It's going to be a cost. You think about it, just to research it and then build it, it's going to be at least 18 IPPs. To do that, you're going to have to be really close to deliver it. Like if you wanted to think about this over here, like Germany would have to deliver it to London. Germany would have to be in Paris, or Netherlands or Belgium, maybe Lorraine, because it can only be carried 3 spaces away. And you can only research this technology if your country has 50 or more IPPs. So I doubt it'll get used much, but if it does, it'll be under historical circumstances, which was the spirit with which I drafted these rules for the atomic bomb. So I hope you enjoyed this. And that's my 3rd video on my optional rules and expansions for Global War 36. Only got a couple more to do before I can start playing. Take care, everyone. Admiral Seabass signing off.